So last week we talked about the importance of having a system. Okay, why? Because it saves yourself time, energy, and money. But what's more important than having a system is having steps that you know 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, right? So our system, just to give you a quick little review, it's 3 phases. It's the ready phase, it's the aim phase, and it is the acquire phase. Okay, this is ready is when you get ready to start going and reaching out to the right people. So it involves identifying who you're going to go after, knowing how to research them. So you are not just calling the number on Google for them, you're reaching out to them on their cell phone, and the call phase of what to say once you got someone on the phone. Okay, this first ready phase, this is basically who to reach out to, what to say, how to say it. Now, the most important part I want you guys to understand is we are reaching out, write this down, folks, to the right person with the right message and at the right time. If you don't know how to do that, you will forever spin your wheels. I don't care how great of a talker you are in a listing presentation. I don't care how great your valuation skills are. I don't care how great you prep for meetings. I don't care how great you market, blah, 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 blah. None of that means anything, because if you can't get on first base, you can't get on second, third, or home plate. Does that make sense, everybody? Type a 1 in the chat if you're with me, if you understand where I'm going with that. Okay, so remember, we can review, and the reason why why the first part is so important is it's our foundation. It's because if you're never making meetings, you're never getting listings, you're never getting sales. Okay, so everything hinges on you being very, very solid in the ready phase, reaching out to the right people with the right message and at the right time. Okay, we discussed last week about how important it is so that you are pre-filtering the right people, the people that we have reason to believe need our help. The analogy that I like to use, and raise your hand if you remember this, right? You're a doctor. You want to help sick people. You can walk up and down Main Street and ask 500 people if they are sick, and sooner or later, you're going to find a handful of people. Or you could set up shop outside the emergency room, and as the ambulance is coming in and they're pulling someone off on a gurney, you would say, "Hey, Mrs. Whatever, are you sick? Can I help you?" You're going to have to speak to a lot less people, and you're going to be able to get a lot more sick people helped. Okay, if you're more strategic, if you're reaching out to people that you have reason to believe need your services. If you're a doctor, that's what you would do. As a real estate agent, you need to be reaching out to the right people. You don't, okay? This is the antithesis of our business model. You don't just create a polygon, identify every buyer or every owner in that polygon, and then start reaching out to them with phone calls, hoping and praying that one of them is going to sell. You know why? Because here in my market, right, there's a 4% absorption rate for, let's say, industrial properties, which means out of 1,000 properties, 40 will sell a year. You know what that also means? 96% will not sell this year, which means if you are waiting, so if you take 100 and you divide it by 4, okay, the average person holds onto a property for 25 years, which means if you are reaching out to someone, once a week, twice a month, once a month, whatever, for 25 years, that's a long time to wait for a sale. Does that make sense, guys? Type an exclamation point in the chat if that makes a lot of sense, because that's the biggest hole with most people's business models, is that they think that just by calling over and 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 over again, that someone's magically going to want to do business with them. It couldn't be further from the truth. What you need to do is you need to reverse engineer that to reaching out to people that you have reason to believe need your help. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. Thurston's with me. Cool. Kathy's with me. Fossil's with me. Good. Okay. So the next thing I want you to understand is, guys, once we're reaching out to the right person with the right message at the right time, okay, then we're able to start making logical conclusions as to, okay, these people need our help, which allows us to be that much more persistent, because we already know in the back of our mind, I have a reason in the back of my mind. This person just doesn't happen to own a building. They happen to own a building, and they're in metaphorically coming off the back of an ambulance in a stretcher. Okay, folks. Okay. Now, so phase 1 is dedicated all to basically what I call like turning a phone number into an appointment. Okay. Phase one, phone number to appointment. Now, phase two is once you have got the gotten the listing appointment booked. This is what you do. This is why when I call AIM, this is when you're dialing in what you're going to say to them, what their property is worth, how you're going to say it. Okay. So the first thing you want to do, okay, what most people do is they don't prep for a meeting. Or they'll just like, they'll pull whatever tax records there are out there, but they won't have a plan. Okay. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, as the old saying goes. Okay. So what we want you to understand is you need to be sending them strategic information with regard to who you are, what you've done. Okay. If you haven't done much, don't worry, because people are doing business not only with you, but also with your company. So it makes a whole lot of sense for you to send them information. If you're new to the market, don't worry about it. Send information about you, a little blurb about you, and a little bit about your company. Okay. When you send the right information to them, okay, they already know who's showing up at, who's coming to dinner, so to speak, right? So when you show up, you are already pre-sold. Okay. That's why we call it persuasion, because we persuade them before we even get to the door. 90% of agents don't do this. And I have literally taken listings, okay, that people have told me, I gave it to you because you're the only one that sold that sent me, well, I call it a brag pack. You're the only person that sent that to me. And that made you look more professional than the other ones. I knew you took your job more seriously than the other ones. Literally, guys. And all it was like, maybe a 5-6 page PDF. Make sense, everybody? Okay. So that's what the preparation stage is all about. You need to persuade them. So before you even get there, you've already got one foot in the door. Okay. Now, here's the most important thing to understand, folks. Step number 5, value is the most important part in this entire process. And I'm going to prove it to you. Let's see. Thurston, can I have you hop on the mic, my friend? And you go to the bottom left and unmute yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thanks for hopping on. So Thurston, if I had a $20 bill, a regular old $20 bill, okay, and I asked you to take it to, I don't know, like the supermarket or whatever, convenience store, and bring me back 20 singles, do you think you could do that for me?
Sure.
Okay, very simple, $20, 20 singles, no problem. Awesome. Now, same scenario, same $20 bill, I asked you to bring me back 19 singles. Do you think you could do that?
Sure.
Okay, right. 1 goes in your pocket and 19 goes back to Chris. Sure. Okay, good. Perfect. All right. Same scenario. But this time, instead of a $20 bill, all I want you to do is bring me back 23 singles. You think you can do that for me, Thurston?
I'd ask you where I'm supposed to get the other 3 singles from.
But yeah, I don't know. You'll figure it out a way. You're a smart guy. Like, come on. You think you'd do that for me? Or how long do you think you'd keep me waiting, trying to figure out a way to turn $20 into 23 singles?
How long would I keep you waiting?
Yeah, quite a long time, right?
A long time. I probably wouldn't come back.
And why is that? Because a $20 bill is what? Because it's not worth 23 singles. Does it make sense, guys? And some people and owners, they don't get this. By the way, you can use that metaphor when you're in a listing presentation with an owner. Okay. It's a really, really good one because everybody knows that a $20 bill isn't worth 23 singles, right? Everybody knows that. But oftentimes owners get stuck on these prices and they don't understand how they can, why their property isn't selling. It's very, very simple because you're asking $23 for a $20 bill. Does that make sense, Mr. Smith? Oh, okay. Got it. So the most important thing, and this is why I tell you folks that you have to have your valuation dialed in, because if you don't have it dialed in, what's going to wind up happening is you're going to be asking $23 for a $20 bill and wondering why some magic buyer comes along. Okay, folks, there's this thing called the greater fool theory. Okay, if anybody heard that, raise your hand if you've heard the term before. Okay, it's been around a long time, an economical term, and basically it comes down to like people think that there's someone dumber than they are that's going to come along and just overpay for something. Now, every once in a while, sure, you might get someone that overpays. Maybe they're in a jam. Maybe they have a 1031 exchange and they need to get it done. But at the end of the day, guys, people with money to buy a building, you know, something that you might be spending in the millions, okay, didn't get millions of dollars by making foolish choices with their money. Does that make sense, folks? Type of 1 in the chat if that makes some sense, okay? So if you think you're going to get somebody, now on the residential side, for sure, okay? Someone's going to fall in love with the house. Oh my God, the gazebo out back is so beautiful. Oh my God, the rose bushes. Oh, look at the curb appeal. Oh, look at this. Oh, I can just picture my family. People will tend to, on the residential side, make more emotional decisions because it is a very emotional decision where you hang your hat at night, okay? But when it comes to making financial decisions, when it comes to making investment decisions, I want you guys to understand something very important, okay? There's not going to be the greater fool all the time, which is why valuation and your ability to articulate it to the other party is so important. Guys, if that's a light bulb, that makes a whole lot of sense. Guys, type an exclamation point in the chat for me. I just want to make sure this stuff is landing, right? I want to make sure you guys are understanding why. Because once you understand the why of what we do, then the how makes it a whole lot easier. Okay? Cool. Awesome. So next thing I want you guys to understand, guys, is pitching, right? And I don't like the word, but it's like it's a one syllable and everybody knows what we're talking about. The pitch is what happens when you go to a listing presentation. Now, I don't like to call it a presentation. In fact, I just got done teaching my inner circle of students this. We call it the listing conversation. And the reason we call it the listing conversation is it's not a present. When you present, it's like putting on a play and like the audience is silent. That's not what we're doing, okay? What we are doing is we are articulating, you know, you're basically, you're having a guided conversation so that you're able to understand certain things about the property. Number one, if you do it right, you'll understand why they want to sell. Number two, they'll understand that you know what you're talking about. And number three, they'll understand what the pricing of the market is, okay? Those are the three things that you have to figure out how to extract when doing a presentation, okay? Or what we like to call a listing conversation, okay? Without those pieces, okay? The identify, the research, the call, the prep, the value, the pitch, okay? If you don't know how to sync those up, folks, you will never be able to have repeated success. Yes, you'll be able to have a deal come together every once in a while, but if you want to have repeated success over and over and over again, folks, this is how you do it, by having a plan, okay? So folks, how many of you, I'm just going to segue a little bit. How many of you have no, show of hands. In fact, if everybody get your cameras on real quick, all right? How many of you, show of hands, like you know you have a system in your business and you know it's repeatable. You can get a repeatable result and book appointments like on demand, right? Anybody? Okay, good. You're in the right place, all right? So if you don't have a system, folks, all right, you are at the mercy of luck, okay? And last I checked, hope is not a business plan. So what I recommend, folks, is learn a system, learn a business plan. All right, folks, thanks as always for being here. Really appreciate you guys. One thing I ask of everybody here, take something you learned today and implement it immediately. If you still have time on the clock wherever you are, okay, do it today. Worst case scenario, do it tomorrow before noon. I have a 91-9 rule, okay? Success, 100% of success comes from two things: 9% education and 91% implementation. I don't care if you're the smartest person on earth, you read every book, you watched every video, you went to every single training, okay? If you never implement, you'll never get the results, okay? So if there's anything I could recommend you do, folks, implement. So take something, some small little nugget from today, okay, and implement it tomorrow, and implement it immediately, okay? If you really want to take the fast track, follow someone that's already done it before. Thanks everybody for being here. Hope you have a great week. Enjoy yourself.